Part 1. The Wright brothers and the first flights, long ago, almost 120 years ago, when the world was very different, without smartphones, the internet, or even cars. Two brothers from a small town in Ohio, Wilbur and Orville Wright, dreamed of something no one had yet imagined. They dreamed of flying, of rising into the sky and soaring like birds. They were not scientists or wealthy inventors. No, their workshop was small, filled with the smell of wood and machine oil. They made bicycles, simple but reliable. Their lives were calm and measured. But inside, they had one burning desire: to understand how flight worked, how birds controlled their wings, how air could hold the body of a person and a machine. At that time, many dreamers and inventors tried to conquer the sky. Some made models of kites that gently floated in the wind. Others launched hot air balloons, rising high but uncontrollable. No one had yet created a true, controllable machine that could lift a person and safely bring them back down. But the Wright brothers were patient. They knew, to build a real airplane, they had to study the air, the wind, wings, and the forces acting on them. They built their own wind tunnel, a large wooden box where they could test different wing shapes to find which created the most lift and how to control them. For several years, they conducted endless experiments. Every day they recorded observations, drew new plans, and built new gliders. Though many thought their idea was crazy, the brothers believed their dream could come true. And then, in December 1903, on a quiet and cold beach in North Carolina, amid wind and sand, something unexpected happened. The first motorized airplane, light, wooden, with bird-like wings and a buzzing engine, lifted into the air. Orville Wright sat at the controls, his heart pounding while the world held its breath. And he flew. It was not a long flight, just 12 seconds, 37 meters. But it was the beginning of a new era. An era when humans could fly, see the world from a bird's-eye view, and dream of new horizons. After that memorable day, the brothers did not stop. They knew the first flight was only the start of a long journey, full of trials and discoveries. Back in their Dayton workshop, they carefully improved their airplane. Every new detail was thought through and tested. They made the wings bigger, chose new engines, experimented with controls, as if learning the language of the wind and air. Imagine their small workshop: wooden beams, the smell of machine oil, drawings and mechanical parts on the tables, and an old bicycle nearby, a reminder of where it all began. Sometimes neighbors would visit, curious and a bit skeptical, but the brothers just smiled and kept believing in their dream. Years of hard work paid off. Their next plane, the Flyer 2, could not only take off, but also make turns and circles in the sky, and the Flyer 3 became a real little miracle. Stronger, more stable, it could stay in the air for almost 40 minutes, flying dozens of kilometers. But flying is not just mechanics and technology. It's magic born from the human desire to be free, to soar into endless skies. Imagine Orville sitting behind the controls, feeling a slight thrill in his chest, hearing the wind rustle among the wings, with the earth below like a huge, soft pillow, fields, lakes, and forests. In that moment, he is not just a man, but part of something greater. A boundless world where borders disappear and dreams take flight. Part 2. Louis Blériot, Santos-Dumont, and the first crossings after the Wright brothers' success, news of the first flights spread worldwide. People in many countries admired and marveled. How could a human now fly? This inspired many inventors who dreamed of adding something of their own, making flying better, more accessible, more beautiful. In France lived a young engineer and adventurer, Louis Blériot. He was passionate, full of energy, and loved technology. Imagine him every morning stepping out of his house, deeply breathing the fresh air, feeling the warm sunlight and the quiet rustle of Paris streets. In his heart burned the desire to build a plane that could cross the English Channel, the stretch of water between France and England. In 1909, just a few years after the first flights, Louis dared to try this famous crossing. His plane was different, elegant, with bright red wings or a powerful engine. He called it the Blériot 11. Determined and dreaming, Louis took off from the French shore and, battling wind and clouds, flew steadily toward England. All around were the sounds of the engine, the whisper of the wind, and the heartbeat of the inventor himself. At that moment, he became a symbol of courage and new horizons. Crossing the Channel was a historic first, a true celebration worldwide. People applauded, wrote about his feat, got inspired, and dreamed. Equally famous was the Brazilian inventor Alberto Santos-Dumont, a man who loved not only flying, but also charming his audience. He did not just build airplanes. He organized real aerial shows in Paris, inviting crowds to watch his machines soar and glide like birds. Imagine him in an elegant suit, with a stylish hat, standing next to his 14 BIs, a plane that could take off unaided. This was a step forward, demonstrating to the world that flying was not only invention and technology, but also art. These early pilots and engineers didn't just conquer the sky, they paved the way for future generations. Thanks to their courage, patience, and passion, aviation became part of our lives, a way to travel, explore, and dream. Part 3. The First Passenger Flights and Aviation Development. Once brave pilots lifted their machines into the sky, a new era began. The era when airplanes stopped being just experiments and became a way to travel. Imagine the early 20th century. City streets still smell of steam engines, and clouds lazily drift on the horizon. People increasingly look up and dream. What if it was possible to reach distant places, once long and difficult to get to, quickly and easily? In 1914, the first passenger flight in history took place. It was a small biplane with an open cockpit that could hold only a few people. The flight lasted about 23 minutes, from St. Petersburg to Tampa, Florida. The pilot carefully took control, and the plane gently lifted off like a bird ready for its first long journey. Passengers felt a mix of thrill and joy. The wind played in their hair, and even the sound of the engine seemed like music of a new time. For many, it was their first flight ever. And who knows what dreams were born in their hearts then? Slowly, planes became bigger and more comfortable. Designers improved engines, made cabins enclosed and warm, added seats and luggage compartments. Air became not just an element to fight against, but a road on which people could travel toward adventures. By the 1920s, regular airlines began to appear. Traveling by plane became more common, though still a bit magical. Planes traced routes over forests and mountains, rivers and lakes, like gentle lines on the world map. Airports were still small and simple, but already carried an atmosphere of hope and expectation, like train stations where dreams set off on a journey. With every flight, people believed more. Flying was not just a technical achievement. It was a chance to discover new lands, meet new people, and see the world from a bird's perspective. Today, closing your eyes and listening to this story about those first steps into the sky, you can feel the same lightness and freedom that the first passengers felt. Because every flight is a little miracle, born from dreams and love for the heavens. Part 4. Military Aviation and Flying Aces. With the development of aviation, a new and remarkable chapter began, using airplanes in war. When World War I started, the sky became a new battlefield where pilots were not just machine operators, but heroes, aces who conquered clouds and fear. Imagine a young pilot putting on a leather jacket, carefully adjusting his aviator goggles, and stepping onto the runway. Around him, the roar of engines, the smell of oil and gasoline, the light chill of the morning air. Ahead, a few minutes that could change history. These first military planes were light, fast, but fragile. Pilots flew in open cockpits where every breath of air was cold and windy. Flying required not only skill, but great courage, because life depended on precise maneuvers. One of the most famous aces was Manfred von Richthofen, known as the Red Baron. His plane was bright red, like a burning flame in the sky, and he became a symbol of bravery and skill. He fought with such grace and agility that many feared meeting him in the air. But war was harsh and heavy. Many pilots lost their friends, and every flight was a test of spirit and body. However, during this time, the foundations of modern military aviation were laid. Scientists and engineers learned to make planes more reliable, faster, and capable of carrying heavier loads. After the war, with its horrors and tragedies, planes gradually returned to peaceful purposes, carrying people and cargo, exploring unknown lands, and connecting continents. Air shows appeared, festivals of the sky where pilots performed incredible tricks and maneuvers, delighting audiences. They seemed to dance among the clouds, turning cold metal into art. As technology advanced further, planes became powerful machines, liners capable of carrying hundreds of passengers across oceans, jet fighters, and even spacecraft. And now, listening to this story before sleep, you can imagine a gentle breeze stirring the airplane's wings, and far away, stars twinkling softly. The history of aviation is a story of human dreams about freedom, the desire to overcome boundaries and conquer the sky.